Welcome to the National Football League Rookie Symposium. We have y'all here today to warn you about some off-the-field temptations and some situations that may arise.
Now, first and foremost, what I want each and every one of you to do is I want you to find yourself a fall guy. I want you to call him. I want you to put him on your payroll. Why are you going to do that? We're going to tell you why.
Let's say you have a hell of a season. You want to go out and celebrate by abusing an animal. Grab a fall guy and abuse him instead. Got plenty of people to choose from. You got family members, prostitutes, hell, your team's quarterback. Be creative.
Maybe you find yourself over at a bar, you've had about, 15 drinks too many. Gotta get in your car, gotta get home somehow. What are you gonna do? You're gonna call your fall guy. He's gonna be across town. He's gonna go ahead and rob himself a bank. It's gonna draw the police over there. That way you are scot-free to drive home in that 400 horsepower carriage of pure destruction.
Last but not least, we all love murder. But have a fall guy go over to the scene and plant some misleading evidence. I mean, I've seen plenty of kids perform highlight reel double murders only to be caught because they didn't have the fall guy go and plant his gun at the scene. What are we saying? We're kidding.
Come on, guys, lighten up. I mean, you're professional athletes. You're young, you're rich, you're above the law. Oh, you know what? We're all going. Let's get shots over at Smitty's. Come on.
I'm buying, you fly.
Come on.
I don't know a lot about sports, but I can drink a lot of beer.
My motto is simple: C's get degrees.
Need a long, inappropriate hug? I'm your man.
I think I'm smarter than you, because I probably am.
Howard Collins for box score. Hello, welcome to the Box Score. I'm Brock in Los Angeles, joined by the Danettes in New York City. You guys had JB Smoove on today. Now, last time you tried to have him out in Milford, he got lost. Fritzy, what happened between now and then to make everything all good?
Well, he showed up on time, actually about a half hour early, which was great. There was a lot of chaos and stress a few months back when he was supposed to join us in the Milford studios. There's a Milford and a new Milford, and I guess that's what became problematic on the GPS of the person responsible for getting JB to us. And we were getting various reports that he was 5-10 minutes away, and then all of a sudden he was like 45 minutes away, and he had to be somewhere else. And then it got to a point where he just wasn't going to be able to come at all. But all is forgiven. It was great to see him, great to have him in the New York City man cave. So we move on from that past bad experience in Milford.
Paulie, he wore his sunglasses indoors. Now, rocking those shades, did that help or hurt his smoothness?
Oh, definitely help. If your last name is Smoove, you could wear sunglasses indoors. And, you know, some guys like us could not even come close to pulling it off, unless we were trying to play a joke or play a role. Like, I was like, all right, that doesn't really surprise me at all with JB, so it was a pretty good move.
Made sense. Well, JB was rocking the glasses, so was DP, and if there was any question as to the difference, JB broke it down.
No, you got put on glasses. These are takeoff glasses. These are like this. Hey, man, good to meet you, brother. That's takeoff glasses. You got put on glasses because you can't see.
See, that was David Caruso. That was CSI taking off.
Yeah,
like,
that's
takeoff glasses. Yeah.
A nice pair of glasses are made to take off your face. You know what I mean? You put them back on. You can't do that because you can't see. You walk into a wall or walk into an elevator shaft.
Right on.
Or a manhole cover's missing or something like that. You know what I mean?
I have to be honest with you, I have no idea what he's talking about there in terms of take on and put off glasses. I do know that Dan needs his glasses in order to see, and I can't say that about JV Smoove. That being said, they were nice glasses.
Yeah.
I appreciated them indoors. But as for good glasses are made to take off, I'm not really following that.
Dan's straight out of...
But it was funny.
Straight out of Lens Crafters for Dan.
Hey, Seton, if you had a chance to be a star of a sitcom, which Danette is going to be your co-star?
Well, I would have to probably say Andrew. He's got the most sitcom sort of presence.
Oh, he screams sitcom.
You want to see me walk? This is my sitcom entrance.
With the hips out, there he goes.
Whoa.
Yeah, see, he's sort of our Kramer.
He really
so
is.
I would happily be sort of the straight guy, Jerry Seinfeld, to his Kramer.
Although
any day.
Fritzy is Costanza. Remember when we did the Seinfeld bit and Fritzy barely had to change anything to be Costanza?
At all.
Tapped into the neuroses of...
all he did was put on glasses.
Yes. It was the same shirt he was wearing that day.
Yeah.
and same content.
He actually was talking about the waitress off air, just like he was supposed to in the script. He's like, "Do you think she's looking over me? Because I mean, I wore this shirt. I should have worn a more tighter shirt."
That's how we got the script.
Fast-talking psychosis thing going on. But yeah, it just fit right into that character all too well, unfortunately.
All right, well, speaking of great comedy, the boss announced today that he's going to go on a 21-day juice cleanse. Now, Paula, you called shenanigans in the box. What is going to be the effect of all this juicing for the boss?
Well, he'll probably be in a very bad mood. When you take away what you like to do and like to eat, most people don't get in a better mood. I think these cleanses are complete crap, and they're like a pacifier. They make you feel good for 3 weeks, then you go back to your old life and just put the weight back on, and it's just not realistic. Some doctors, I think, prescribe it because it gives their clients or patients something to do. I think it's silly.
I wish you guys good luck in these next 21 days. All right, stick around. Dan has a chat with his good buddy Eddie Burns, and things get weird. Of course they do. What's not weird? The Ram 1500 Eco Diesel. It's a straight shooter. Tows a boat, hauls a trailer, and it climbs hills. It does it all. Elegantly and most fuel efficiently. Get more facts at ramtrucks.com. Guts, glory, Ram.
I've always been Edward. I'm Eddie Burns to everyone who knows me. But originally I was going to be, like when you enter SAG, the Actors Union, I was going to be Ed Burns, but there was an actor in the 50s, a guy named Ed Kooky Burns. Okay. Even though the name was spelt differently, I couldn't be Ed Burns, so I had to go with Edward Burns.
We are back here on the box score. Dan wasted no time in getting to the bottom of whether Ed Burns goes by Ed, Edward, or Eddie. After listening to that tape, I'm still not any clearer on the issue. Paulie, is it any more clear to you?
Well, I think his friends and family, and even now us, can call him Eddie Burns because that's probably what he's been called his entire life. But SAG is interesting. If someone has your name before you have to change it. I think there's that guy, J.K. Simmons, that real popular actor from Whiplash. He's changed his names 4 different times in SAG. I heard an interview with him, and now it's J.K. Simmons because he had to stay with it. But he had to change it. Like, he had it once, and someone else, they found out he had it, so he had to change it and, change his title. But that's weird, because what if, Todd Fritz, what if you said, well, there's already a Todd Fritz. What do you do? Todd A. Fritz?
Well, radio is actually really famous for that. Like, there's 13,000 Romeos on the radio, and they're just sort of all blend into this one dude. And one of them is really famous, and the rest of them get progressively less famous. So it's like, what is that really going to do for your career?
And then you may have to settle for a name that you don't like, a secondary or tertiary name, and that's forever you're going to be known as that. And it's a constant reminder. It's like, I don't really want to be that.
When I worked at CBS News at radio, we had a list of all the correspondents around the country. And we had their name and their real name. I'd say about 40%, maybe 50% of our people. There was a guy named Peter King. His name was like Peter Hartsfield, but he changed it to Peter King for CBS News. And a lot of people we know change their names for radio, and they stick with it but nobody's ever named like Peter King and change it to Peter Lipschitz. It's always the other way around.
You're not going to see that.
It's always the other way around,
unless you're doing sports radio Tel Aviv or something like that. There's really no reason to go from that way to Lipschitz.
Sports radio Tel Aviv.
Lipschitz and the monkey.
Oh, doing the Maccabea games. Pearl, we know you're trying to change your name from Mcloven, but when you're amongst friends, do you go by Andy or Andrew?
Most of my old friends call me Pearl, like everybody does. And some friends call me Andrew. New friends call me Andrew. Nobody calls me Andy except my mom and Andy Dalton.
And us sometimes.
Yeah, but people here mostly refer to me as Mcloven. Like, people, if you said Mcloven at a high school reunion to people are like, who are you talking about?
I'm not comfortable calling you that when we're not on the show. It's not like a disrespect. I feel like you would rather be called by
I don't feel like you call me Andrew either. I don't feel like you call me anything. Does he call you guys?
Maybe I just kind
He
of
doesn't
tap
talk
you
to
on your
us.
shoulder. I just kind of
refer to us by
But
name.
you're sitting very close to me, so maybe I just tap you, or I just start talking without,
Fritzy doesn't use names or pronouns. Fritzy's, in all his emails, he never uses pronouns. He says, we'll be watching this game tonight.
I do leave that so
pursuing... We'll be
I'm
pursuing.
trying to tighten things up because I've been known to ramble either verbally or in my email. So if I could cut out a couple
So you are
words
trying to tighten it up. Here's another side topic. I think Pearl is close to happening. I think you should stay with it because there's kind of a transition phase going on right now. I think you could get, if you stuck with Pearl, because I called you Pearl the other day and I wrote a note to Dan.
Pearl.
I said Pearl can do this or something.
It was in like a poll question even.
Yeah.
Like Pearl.
Yeah, no, sometimes I actually bribe the graphics guys in LA to throw in Pearl once in a while. Bob, the guy who writes the open for the radio, started to call me Pearl. He doesn't know if it's a bit or not. A lot of people.
If you look at like Gary Dell'Abate on the Stern Show, he was Boy Gary. For years, he was Boy Gary.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, he became Baba Booey. And Baba Booey blew Boy Gary out of the water and became his moniker.
Wow.
Much as we think you're branded as Mcloven.
So you think Pearl is the equivalent of Baba Booey?
I don't know, but
I
I'm
gotta
saying
tell you,
there's precedent.
I would lose a lot with Mcloven. Mcloven gets me a lot. Like, guests know my name because it stands out much more.
That's why I was so surprised you pushing for Pearl because
and also there's the occasional Ken Jeong thought I was actually Christopher Mintz-Plasse. I get a lot of attention with that.
Yeah. You look like him.
Yeah, I don't know if Mcloven is gonna.
And do you want to split the attention between some are using Pearl, some are using McLovin? Wouldn't it be all in on McLovin and just have all the attention?
I mean, now you're going to have 3 names. You're going to be
a lot.
Like
at
Jay-Z.
least Andrew, Pearl,
Hova,
McLovin.
Well, they all have different personality. Pearl is like. He's like Earl Monroe. He's like a 70s NBA, ABA star. McLovin's like a dorky 18-year-old high school student. And Andrew is just me.
Well, whatever name makes you feel at ease. Now, Dan did not hesitate to call Ed Eddie to make him feel more comfortable when he was in the chair. And then he turned the page and made Ed Burns feel a little uncomfortable.
I read an interview, and it was kind of interesting because they were trying to get around to telling you that your wife, you know, a famous model, is a beautiful woman. Yep. Like how, and you could tell where the interviewer was asking you a question, you weren't quite sure, and then you didn't even know how to respond. You go, "Yep, I'm a lucky guy."
Yeah.
Like, how does that come up in conversation with? Why does it come up in conversation?
I don't know.
It was weird. It was like,
yeah.
hey, we're talking about this in the series. And by the way, I was in a restaurant, and I looked over, and there's one of the 5 beautiful, prettiest women in the world.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it. You're a lucky guy, Ed. And then you go, yes, I am.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just like this, that it's that awkward.
It might be similar to this.
Yeah.
That was so awkward because Dan never asked him a question. He just started riffing about how people comment on him being married to.
Vomited for 30 seconds.
Yeah, Christy Turlington, who everyone knows is one of the all-time great supermodels and one of the great beauties of our country. And then he kind of just rambled and left Ed Burns nowhere to go. And if you looked at us at the end, we were basically saying, like Dan's doing right now to Ed Burns. But I'll tell you, I wanted to hit that topic because, again, a lot of people have been in movies and made their own movies and gotten famous, but not a lot of people have married Christy Turlington. I bet you it's less than 2. And so am I wrong? I don't know, because you've been married before. But I think it's a fair topic. You happen to date one of the all-time famous, beautiful women in the world, and we have to ask you about it. I'm actually disappointed we didn't get into the topic more.
And you know what? I don't really understand why there are like, I think 2 kinds of men, say. The guys who won't talk about it and they're like almost shy or embarrassed of it, and the guys who are like, yeah, go ahead. Like John Legend couldn't care less what people look at Chrissy Teigen or whatever. He's just like, yeah, great, I know, yeah, she's Chrissy Teigen, I know. I don't know why guys are like, easy, like I don't want to talk about my supermodel wife.
He was trying too hard.
I
to
don't
not
think
come
he
across
didn't
like
want to talk about her. I think we never asked a question where he could actually have a chance to talk about it. Like, when you first meet Christy Turlington,
interesting.
How famous are you and how famous is she? That was a question I had in my head because was he a household name? Ed Burns has never been a household name.
Right.
Kind of, but she has been.
Or how do you deal with it? Like when you see people recognize, or they're kind of ogling your wife. And
or you go to some office and there's a poster of your wife on the wall.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's not like he's chopped liver, by the way. He could probably.
He's a total stud,
he
dude.
could slay.
He got Christy Turlington.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sort of implied.
Yeah.
I find this all completely relatable. All right, coming up, we'll see which lives these guys would switch, these stars these guys would switch lives with. Welcome back to the Box Score. We often look at athletes today and say, what would it like to be in their shoes? Well, we asked the Danettes which superstars' lives they would want to live. They told us, we recorded it. It is time to play.
Superstar.
No! Your Rose!
All right, let's start with the front row. Seton, which athlete's life does Paulie want the most?
So it's athlete. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's tough not to say. Tommy? Probably not. Jeets isn't an athlete anymore. I mean, Walter Payton. Are we good? Can we go? Do they have to be alive or can they be deceased?
alive.
And could it be current or former?
These responses were people who are currently alive.
Oh, I know. Jay Cutler, clearly.
Was it Jay Cutler?
I know he's almost retired, but I'm gonna go with surfer Kelly Slater. That is the life.
Slater's a good one.
Did we do this like 3 weeks ago?
We've probably done this 10,000 times.
Yeah.
Kelly Slater, is a good one. That's pretty
I
obvious.
mean, Kelly Slater, as much as I'd like to be the quarterback
You were wearing
of
a
the
shirt that
Bears,
had palm trees on it.
Oh,
Yeah,
every time we talk to Kelly Slater, he's like, yeah, I'm in Fiji, and then I'm heading back to Australia, and then I gotta go back to LA for a few weeks. Oh, man, I mean, no one's got it better than Kelly Slater. He competes.
Dude, he competes with sharks at his feet. I don't know.
So far, he hasn't been eaten, no.
That sounds
if he
like
had
a
been
lot of-
eaten, I wouldn't trade.
The fact that you have to say so far he hasn't been eaten, that's a problem.
I think his job is less dangerous than Tom Brady's job.
Interesting. To the back row, Fritzy, which athlete's life does Mcloven want to have?
Oof. This is a rough one. I'm gonna tap into Philly, a guy who's easy on the eyes and has a really nice body. He's not exactly held in very high regard right now as far as his pro career. But I'm gonna go Tim Tebow, held in as a deity, and he's handsome, and he's got a Philly connection now. Gotta go Tebow.
Yeah, but he's Philly.
Of course.
Of course.
Of course. Was it Tim Tebow?
You know, it's a lot of pressure, but I think I would want to be LeBron James just because he's pretty much better than everyone at basketball. Yeah, that might have been, it's all timing. That might have been asked closer to the finals. Around finals, LeBron was just killing it everywhere.
Why wouldn't you want to be a third-string quarterback with a tenuous job security?
Yeah. Well, he does have a great body, as Todd oddly pointed out.
Handsome guy, and he walks on water, according to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And,
He'd have to switch religions.
I'll take LeBron. Yeah, detail.
The Goyim. All right, one more for the front row. Paulie, which athlete's life would Seton want?
You know, I almost went Kelly Slater, but I'm going to go hybrid on you and go Shaun White.
Oh, is it Shaun White?
Man, I would say even despite all the controversy that's going on right now, it's kind of tough to not find Tom Brady's shoes enjoyable. He's got a supermodel wife. He's got a bunch of rings, bunch of dough. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. A little scandal here and there, big deal. It just keeps things interesting. That's Tom Brady all day.
Yeah. Should have saw that theme.
I don't know. I mean, it's what's wrong with Tommy, you know?
Not a damn thing. Last one for the back row. Mcloven, which athlete's life does Fritzy want?
It's funny because...
Keeping in mind that adult entertainment stars have to be pretty athletic.
Yeah. Wasn't Hank Baskett married to a penthouse model?
Brock Osweiler?
I was thinking Broncos, and I think that you're implying active athlete, which I think Todd blew through that stop signal and went with a retired athlete. It said John Elway anyway. So I'm going to guess John Elway.
No doubt.
Was it John Elway?
This goes against every belief I have, being very anti-Patriots and what they've done to the Broncos in recent years. But I'm going to go Tom Brady. I know he's going through a lot of stuff right now, and it's a lot of aggravation with the whole suspension and all the legal stuff, but married to a supermodel, making millions and millions of dollars. She's making even more money than I am. Mansions, houses, cruises, vacations. Good-looking guy, 4 Super Bowl rings. Tom Brady, I think, is the guy to be right now.
Dude,
I
never even heard you talk about Tom Brady.
I thought I had said John Elway.
You know, Tom Brady and
I thought you
Peyton
had that
Manning are the exact same age, almost. I mean, Manning's a couple years
I
old.
think I made some very good points on why I picked Tom Brady.
Hey,
but
nothing wrong with that.
I had no recollection of saying any of that, and I thought I went with John Elway. You could walk around Denver and all over.
Creative editing, probably.
That might have been what it was.
So let me just ask you a quick
ethics
ethics question. You're Tom Brady. You basically can have any woman in the country. Yeah. Are you okay being married to one woman if you have this much access?
Well, it depends what your moral, I'm not accusing Brady of anything, but Giselle, that's great, but, maybe once in a while if, Giselle can throw you a bone and work a threesome in, or every once in a while you could kind of go do
You don't want a bone thrown at you in a threesome, trust me.
That's a very good point. That's probably a bad choice of words. Yeah. But maybe you go away for a little week. You go away for a little weekend with what's his name's nanny.
Yes,
with,
all
Ben
salient
Affleck's
points, but
nanny.
all of this adds up to absolutely zero for the
apples?
front rows and the back rows. No one wins. Know your rows. So congratulations to no one and everyone. All right, this is the box score. We are taking a break to remind you that the Ram Heavy Duty, with its best-in-class towing torque and horsepower, doesn't need one. Get more facts at ramtrucks.com. Guts, glory, Ram.
They told us about something called a day rave. And they go to like a bar or a club, and everyone in the place puts on headphones and listens to the music, the thumping boom, boom, boom music. And this is a quote, you drink a lot, you do a lot of drugs, you put on headphones, and you dance like it's a rave. But if you're looking at these people, it's dead quiet.
We are closing up shop here on the box score. Paula, you and Mcloven were breaking down something called day raves to the boss. Still scratching my head. Where did you hear about this, and would you go to something like this?
Good questions. We were hanging out with a couple of the millennials, I think they're called, and these guys are about 23, and they were telling us about this like silent rave, day rave thing they called it, and they said headphones. You know, obviously in suburban Connecticut, I haven't run into a lot of those. Maybe I'm just going to the wrong spots. But would I go to those? Not what you call a good dancer. But maybe people wouldn't be paying attention because they're all on drugs.
Paulie, did you ever go to a rave? Because
sure.
Really?
Clubs, raves, yeah. And out in Arizona.
Did you ever do a glow stick?
No, I never got into that. I missed that window. I think
we missed it. Yeah.
I think I retired just before the glow stick ecstasy era.
Okay, good. Because I didn't either, and I didn't want to feel late.
I'll be okay. I didn't miss it.
Seaton, on the other hand, is awfully quiet right now.
Glow stick raves.
Fritzy, you're shaking your head. When's the last time you've been to anything that required a glow stick?
Nothing close. I think the last time I was at anything that was remotely a wild party was visiting my brother at Rutgers, and even
2 decades ago.
This was this would probably be 1986.
25 years, 30 years ago.
1986.
Where it was like it got a little wild.
That's your last party?
Well, where I would consider it wild, where the police would come, and not because what was going on in the house was that inappropriate or that there was like heavy drugs or anything going on, but I think it was just the loudness that I thought somebody, even though it was like on-campus housing, that someone might.
Do you feel
call
that you properly lived it up during your adulthood?
No, I definitely did not, and I have not sowed my oats. And I commuted for college and lived at home for 4 years.
Well, wait.
I feel like I missed out on a lot of.
You got hotbox in Inglewood once.
I did get a brief hotbox from my friend and his girlfriend at the Great Western Forum parking lot before he
I do think, Fritzy, and I'm not a psychoanalyst, but I think that plays a part with your extreme perviness now, is that you didn't get a lot of stuff out of your system. You don't have these memories that you could dial up in your head of, hey man, I still got the good old days from college and your 20s to reflect on. You got married pretty early, right?
30.
Okay.
But the things.
So your 20s were out of hand.
Yeah, the things I definitely.
Literally.
Yeah.
Like when you were in
more in hand.
When you were in Playa del Rey, walking down the hill to get Chinese food on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
Out of left hand.
Yeah, it was not very crazy. I had a few very cool experiences with some older women and things like that, but. I go back to that because that was one of the.
Sheepshead Bay, Simone.
But it's a limited
Twitter.
It's
a limited bank.
Yeah, when you're in the shower, you got to tap into old memories.
Okay, let's move on.
There's, you end up having to go with like fantasies or things that you saw on a videotape.
Fritzy is on tomorrow.
That's a segue to this. Kurt Warner, I apologize.
Oh, God. Don't want him in this.
And Darius Rucker, I apologize to Darius Rucker. Country music
Rucker's been around.
Darius I can live with there.
Unfortunately, we had to go from
rock
that
stars, at least
to mentioning Kurt Warner and Darius Rucker's names for Wednesday's show. So I definitely apologize to them and their family.
And
our apologies to Mr. and Mrs. Warner. We are back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. Podcast is available on iTunes or podcast1.com. Cheers.
I don't know a lot about sports, but I can drink a lot of beer.
My motto is simple. C's get degrees.
Need a long, inappropriate hug? I'm your man.
I think I'm smarter than you, because I probably am.
Hey, thanks for watching the box score. Holy